What's going on, everyone? So we got an interesting video here, and there's definitely a lot to talk about. Definitely when it comes to seeing total stats versus independent. So Dring has the game business stats up, as you see. They launched yesterday, and it says that Europe, October 2025, Battlefield 6 is number 1, which is awesome. We expected that. FC number 2, kind of FIFA, and then Yotei number 3, doing very well. Now, as far as Nintendo games, they won't give digital, so it's kind of hard to get their totality. But good job, Ghost, still hanging in there and doing well. Now, going over to the UK, this is where things get interesting. Now, month on month, PlayStation 5 is up 36%. Obviously, we know they have insane deals over there, which why is that a bad thing to hook up consumers with deals? Plus, Sony's trying to compete more with Nintendo worldwide. And then the Switch 2 going up 6%. Or the Switch, sorry, going up 6%, which is like, wait, well, hold on, Switch 1, we'll find out, and the Switch 2, 22%. Xbox, negative 3%, month on month, UK year to date. PlayStation 5, number 1, negative 15%. Year on year, Switch 2, it hasn't even been, that's impossible because it's only been out for 6 months barely. If we include October, that's not the case. Xbox Series is down 33%, and Switch is down 45%. So here's some interesting things here to take a look at when it comes to numbers. This is what I want to explain. It says 981K consoles were sold year to date for October 2024, right? Now, here's the interesting thing, depending on how you guys view this instantly. It says PlayStation 5 sold 434,000, right? Which they usually do very good in Europe. Now, remember, these are insane deals they're having, but of course, Sony is strongest territories in Europe. Xbox did 153K, that's not bad for them. The Switch 1 did 118K, which is crazy, and the Switch 2 did 370K. The Switch family in total did 488,000. So overall, Nintendo had the most sales, but Sony independently had the highest sales. And this is the right way to look at it, because I remember when the PS5 came out, along with the Xbox. And there's people doing the same thing where it's like PlayStation 5 had its sales. Obviously, it was still outselling the Xbox, but it wasn't that far away because it was the beginning. But around this time, definitely was. And the PS4 was still selling its sales. I was like, you got to combine that together. Now, as far as like the independent math, sure, do that. But it's still the total aspect. It's the PlayStation family. Just like when the PS6 comes out, the PS5 is still going to be selling. You need to combine both. You see what I mean? Because that's your total sales that you've done. Then as far as like total math and profit, well, Sony will report that in the total reports. Then you compare total math to total math along with the software. Otherwise, like you're not understanding. So Nintendo actually won in totality, but Sony won independently to independently by having those crazy deals, which they needed to do. Otherwise, they would have not been at 434. I would say they'd probably be like 300K, 300 something, but with those deals, and who knows, maybe a little bit under, but I'd probably still say PlayStation will still be selling high. But in totality, like I said right here, it's 370K plus 118K, so that gives you 488,000 units that the Switch family sold. Which means Nintendo won in Europe in that sense, but they're both winning in that sense too, where Sony's winning independently versus the Switch to a sense of, I have to be on sale like this in order to do this because my console's been out 5 years. And that's not a bad thing. This is like, Sony usually does deals anyway. You know what I mean? Now, we don't really say it's necessarily 100% because they're trying to worry about Nintendo in that sense, but more like they want to compete with them. That's been made clear. And Sony usually just does that because they want to get that 100 plus million. And they know how crazy it's about to get next year. On top of, you don't get the GTA boost that is coming in April, and who knows if that game will get delayed again. You know what I mean? I just wouldn't be surprised about that. So I want you guys to let me know. We're not done with this video. We got a lot to talk about. What you guys think about this objectified point of view, because it is objectively true when you add up both consoles. And then when you compare the independent stats, it's like, yeah, but because it's like me saying, oh, the Switch 1 only sold this, so let's just compare that and not include the Switch Lite, and you know what I mean, because the Switch Lite is cheaper, and the Switch OLED, you know what I mean? So no, you combined the Switch family. You see what I mean? Switch 2 and Switch 1 and Switch, all Switch family. So it's combining the 370K with the 118K, and that's 488,000 units sold. You see, because we're just doing, once again, spec differences again, right? Just like PC differences. It's like, but it's still selling. So this is where I shut down some of the arguments that may want to come in. And you guys can come into the comments. I don't have a problem with that. If you want to add in some stuff, or you feel like you might want to debate with me in the comments about some of this stuff, I really don't care. But one thing I will say is that the analogy was just explained why that is looked at that way. And that's why I say Nintendo's double banking still, because they're still getting this much. And it's like, dude, it's about to be 9 years old. You know what I mean? So that gives you an idea about just how things are working here. So going back up here though, it says Battlefield 6 was the biggest new launch of the month on PC and console by quite some margin, as we expected. What happened with Call of Duty is too big to fail, Activision. They failed. And Battlefield destroyed them. And I love that because there's a difference here now between not only sales, but in quality and effort. And taking the whole EA teams and working together to make this amazing shooter. There's actually a real shooter with soul in it, right? So you see that happening, and that's something I want to see going forth. And then you got Arc Raiders coming in too, saying, I don't think so. And then all these other games, the Switch 2 dropping, just so much taking attention from that game that has been abused way too much. And they're just throwing you a game where it's like, dude, you just launched Black Ops 6. Why are you launching 7 that quick? That's embarrassing, man. They did the same thing with Modern Warfare 2 and 3. It's like, but when you think about how good 3 was in its own essence compared to 2, there was some space there, and it's just embarrassing what they're doing now. But hey, there you go. Battlefield 6 premium sales beat that of last year's Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Not only did it beat 7 this year, but it beat what 6 did last year. Although that doesn't factor in downloads via Xbox Game Pass, but that has nothing to do with that. We're talking about retail here and digital sales. Ghost of Yotei delivered a solid launch for PlayStation. Its European sales were on par with the launch of the predecessor, Ghost of Tsushima. Again, all that stuff that people were saying, but guess what though? It's on par. So, I mean, it's a success and it did well. It did not flop and it did not fail. We got our answers here. You know me, I'm not a hater. I just speak the truth over here. Ghost of Yotei is a good game. I like it. And you guys saw I had 50 hours in it. And because of the way my stuff is, and I happened this stupid delay with my true internet that I want. I haven't turned on my PlayStation yet. I'm waiting for that to get set up with my new router that I got. We're having a Great Wall of China against viruses and DOSing and all that. I had a nice setup before, but when I got moved, they set up my stuff wrongly, so I had to delay it. So I'm using this T-Mobile box, which is not too bad. My stuff going on here right now. But that's not the way I want my PlayStation set up because it needs to be the way I want it with my Switch 2. So yeah, I haven't been gaming like I wanted to, and don't worry, I'm going to be getting to that. I got a lot to go through. Yeah, you're going to be seeing that a lot, and I'll be streaming for you guys. But getting back to Ghost of Yotei, it is a success. Sony showed the sales. There's no way this game is not at 4 million right now, or somewhere around there. That is a success. They're going to put it on sale. They will do price drops. Sony does that, and there could possibly be a PC version if they decide to do that. I'm not sure if they will or not. But what I do know is that the game will continue to sell, and there's no way it's not going to hit 5 million sales. So you see other games that people say do very well, and it's like, so you saying that Ghost isn't, and it's so way faster than those games. And like sometimes I see this double standard, and I'm like, it's hypocritical because everybody loved Kingdom Come Deliverance. They praised that, and that did what it did, and they're happy about that, and they didn't even get that. So it's like, what do you want to say that this is not that because you don't like PlayStation? It's like, oh no, I mean, dude, we need to be honest regardless of our bias. So it is definitely a success and it's doing well. And this is not defending any of this other stuff people are thinking. No, I'm just saying either the game is a success or it's not. Either the game made a lot of money because it was on like a 60 million budget. They'll probably, when you add in other things, maybe got up to 80 million or whatever, but Sony clearly already banked off this game easily. We'll expect to see more of those games. But I think we'll get our male protagonist in the next one. But it's a different story. Other games that are tracking below their predecessors include, because there's a lot of people with that stuff, it's funny, include The Outer Worlds 2 from Microsoft and Little Nightmares 3 from Bandai. Ninja Gaiden 4 also missed out on the top 10 for the month. Rest in peace, Hidegaki. That's a shame. I really hope this game goes to Switch 2 and it gets more love that it deserves. I was actually enjoying it. In the UK, PlayStation 5 saw a 36% growth in sales. And the Switch 1, oh my god, it's increasing. That's crazy. Switch 2 enjoyed a 22% rise, while Series and X dropped 3% because they're already dropping so far. PlayStation 5 was the #1 console of the month, but the Switch was the #1 in totality, as we saw. I don't know why they don't do that because that's unprofessional. Overall, this year, PlayStation 5 is the best-selling game year to date in the UK. What the hell do you mean best-selling console? But the sales are down 15.6%. Now, here's the thing. How is the Switch gonna be ahead of it when it sold in January, February, March, April, and May, and Switch launched in June? You had 5 months to sell ahead, of course. What was interesting is Nintendo's numbers worldwide, though, how they're right there or ahead, and you're like, whoa, but you already have 5 months. That's how good Nintendo's doing. It's not beating down anything. Nintendo Switch 2 is in second place, followed by Xbox Series S and X down 33%, and then Nintendo down 47.5%, which makes sense because the Switch 2 took the reign. So now we have our UK data here, and things are very interesting. So it's nice to see PlayStation still trucking along. Console gaming is healthy; it's doing well. Even Xbox selling 153K, that's not that bad. But the Switch 1 is not too far behind it. So like I said, in totality, we got ourselves here. Like I said, if you guys want to talk more about that, let me know. This is where things get interesting because they're not doing good, but they don't need to. Their console's new. So there we have it. This is just to update you guys on the UK data. I'm glad to get this. Glad to see games doing well. And I, more than anything, seeing Battlefield stick it to Call of Duty is just amazing because this means step your game up. Stop making a Solus Factory release yearly, treating the game like a sports title, and make a real game that takes years to make. It would be amazing to see a fully fledged COD that didn't drop every damn year. Take a break. But you're not going to do that because Microsoft needs that 30% profit margin. And of course, they weren't going to make it better. Like I said, they weren't. So like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think. Peace out. Have a great day.